Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's the Big Canucker here, and I am going to be having a look at a knife today. Oh, excuse me, got to get a little bit loose here, a little bit loose, because I am still not feeling the great. Ended up getting myself a splint for the pinky finger because I tore the tendons off the back or the ligaments off the back, and I got to look. Somebody suggested that in the last giveaway the giveaway video. And said perhaps the tendons were torn. He had tore them on a bike accident, and they said there was nothing they could do. But the doctor said, I got to wear this thing for 4 to possibly 12 weeks, and then by that time my finger will be straightened out, I hope. And then there's some, I guess there's a little bit of physiotherapy, which I'm not exactly sure what the hell pinky finger physiotherapy is. But, well, if it doesn't straighten out, then this next knife that I'm going to review, it's going to lop that pinky finger off, because I could think of no other scalpel sharp knife to do it than this, the Spyderco Chaparral. I don't want to lose my pinky finger. It's one of my favorite fingers, but if I did have to have a Spyderco to chop it off, I think this would be the one here, because this thing is laser sharp, lightsaber sharp, and it is a fantastic little knife. So you can see that this little Chaparral lightweight is not the FRN gray that this came with. It seems like every single gray knife I get, I turn into a nice burgundy knife because I really like that color. So let's go to the tabletop and let's go over this bugger. All right. As you can see here, we have got the little box, because it is kind of a smaller knife. And I ended up cutting through the top of the box. It drives me crazy. When I open this box up, this little thing was in the way, and I sliced right through it. And I'm thinking, damn, oh well. So, little small knife. And just to give you an idea of kind of the size with it, here, let's go. A knife that is kind of a competitor, and around the same size is the Spyderco Delica, as always. As you can see that your Spyderco Delica here has got a little bit of overall length on it. But when you put the blades kind of closer, then you can see where they are very, very similar in size as far as the blades. And you can see that I think that this would be kind of maybe a competitor to this. And we will maybe have a look at that down the road. Another little small knife that is directly a competitor is the CRKT Pilar. And you can see here where the Pilar is even smaller. Now this little Pilar was a decent little EDC knife, and so is this. So let's go over the stuff here. Let's go over the specs, and then we'll have a look at the hits, the misses, and everything else in between. All right. So now the specs here. We have got an overall length of 6.4 inches. So it is kind of a little bit on the smaller side. Now the closed length is 3.6 inches, so sub 4 inches. And then the blade thickness here is where it really shines as a slicer, is a 2 mil blade. And it is a very thin, finely ground blade. And this actually came razor sharp. As you can see here, it's got a little bit of a polished edge here. I bought this knife here is actually pre-owned, so the previous owner had just given it a little bit of a tune-up. I don't know how sharp it comes from, but usually this is a Taichung Taiwan knife, and they're usually quite sharp. So I would suspect this is probably sharp right out of the box, but this sharpness combined with this thin edge and this behind the blade, behind the edge thinness I should say, turn this into an absolute slicer of almost unparalleled design. All right, so we've got a tip-up position here. Now it is a left and right hand carry tip-up only, with, of course, one of people's favorite clips, which is the wire clip. Everybody really seems to love this clip. I don't mind this clip, but in this iteration, it is a little bit, it almost doubles the thickness of the back part of this knife. Now this knife is extremely thin, at 0.32 inches wide, which is, I'm gonna say that's probably like 6 mil or something like that. It's not very thick at all. But when you add this wire clip in it, it almost doubles the size of it. And I mean, you have to do something, but it does when it's in the hand, you can tell that it's there. Now, this knife being so on the kind of the smaller side, I'm not gonna say it's delicate, because it is fully nested steel liners in there with this FRN back FRN handle. And FRN is actually fiberglass reinforced nylon, and it is extremely, extremely tough. Now, a lot of these knives that don't have this stainless steel, I mean, you can really almost touch the two together, where this has still got a little bit of movement, but it is still very, very strong. And it's got this kind of great bidirectional pattern here. So, of course, if you're at a Vaseline factory, this is not going to slip out of your hand. But it does have the old Spyderco flat here. And you can see that it is, it says Spyderco Chaparral with a little spider, and it's on both sides here. And what's really, really nice is the fact that this clip lands right on this flat spot. So it's a little bit less of a pants ripper, because I know this fiberglass reinforced nylon, this bidirectional, is so grippy that it can kind of wear in your pants over time. And if you've got a little bit of a flat spot there, it's just going to save your pants a little bit longer. Now, the blade length is 2.8 inches, so sub 3 inches. So a lot of those places out there, they need to have a less than 3-inch blade. And that is, for, I guess, kind of a gentleman carry. Also, it could be a place in England, even though this is a locking blade, you need to have a sub 3-inch blade on your everyday carry knife. And this will definitely fit in with that. Now, the edge length is 2.35, but it is still a definitely decent usable edge. And the reason it's losing some of that edge is you got this here, which is a absolutely fantastic 50-50 choil. I really, really like that in these smaller knives. I definitely would give up that little bit of edge length to have that more positive grip. With this thumb ramp too as well. This thumb ramp and this jimping is outstanding. It is really, really folds into your hand. Now it looks like here, this was designed by, looks like I think that's Eric's mark. So Eric Glasser, fantastic job. Really, really ergonomically designed, except for perhaps a little bit of this giving you a little bit of a hot spot. But I mean, this knife is not designed to be doing any sort of, I'm going to say like super hard, cutting. I mean, I think on a straight push cut, you're absolutely able to push as hard as you can. I would say this is, this knife is designed to at least take that. But I mean, you're not going to be doing hours and hours of really excruciating, hard, tough work with this knife, where this would really cause you a huge amount of inconvenience or hot spot or blister or anything like that. So, I mean, they can be forgiven a little bit for that. So now it is, of course, the back lock. And the one thing that I do wish, that this had, hey look, in one way I wish it and one way I don't, is I like on the back of the little Delicas how you've got that little bit of a dip. It's just a really nice, it just so happens that when I press when I close a lot of back locks, I'm using, the knuckle of my thumb rather than the pad. And I just like the way my thumb kind of fits right in there. It just fits in there so nice, and it allows me to drop it. And this one here is a little bit on the thin side without that. And so when I do go to kind of drop it, it doesn't seem as natural as the Delica with that little bit of a dip. But on the other hand, I really like the way that it is extremely smooth. It's very aesthetically pleasing with this little bit of a square here rather than having it rounded. I really do like that. In one way, I like the look of it. In another way, I don't like the feel of it as much as the Delica with the dip. All right, so now one of the really excellent things about this knife is the fact that they chose a really, really outstanding steel, which is a CTS XHP, which gives you a lot of huge benefits as far as, it takes a wicked edge. It keeps that edge for a really long time, and that's something that I think is really, really important. It's a very tough steel, and it's also stainless too as well. So, and I think that CTS XHP is quite easy to sharpen too as well. I mean, anytime I've sharpened CTS XHP, I've had absolutely no problem getting this, hair whittling sharp. And in this particular case, whoever sharpened this has got it, if not hair whittling, certainly hair shaving sharp. And you can see that it just pops my my little bit of hair that I have on my arms off like nothing. And I can't afford to do that too much because I'm not a very hairy guy whatsoever. But yes, so you've got a 2.1 ounce knife in total with the fully flat ground. And what I really like about that fully flat ground, the CTX HHP, and the fact that this is only a 2 mil thin knife is it is a wicked cardboard slider. look at that. Like, I mean, it's just like nothing. Like, basically, and that's going kind of against the grain. Not like, you know, when you go with it, it's so much easier to cut through this cardboard. But when you're going against that a little bit, it's absolutely amazing how much I really, really enjoy using this knife to cut cardboard. And that is mostly my... I'm just going to get this out of the way here because it bothers me. That's what a huge part of my knife life was in the beginning, was actually using my knives to cut through cardboard. And I have to say, this is one of the most outstanding cardboard cutters I have ever put in my hand, with the ability to go through cardboard like I said, like the old adage, like a hot knife through butter. Now, it's not absolutely all a total bed of roses. I mean, the fact that the knife is a little bit thin, it makes it easy to carry, but sometimes, like I said, in your hand, it can be just a little bit of a hot spot maker with this here too as well. Another thing that I would like to see on this is, even though it is 2 mil and it is such a fine blade, a tiny bit thicker, I think, on overall the entire knife might make it a little bit more, I think a little bit more of a universal user. So you've got something like here, like the Delica, which you can see that even though this is the Delica here with the stainless steel, the blade is just a smidge thicker, just gives you just that little bit more confidence in it, and it is just a little bit more comfortable. I've held an FRN Delica, and that little bit of added extra thickness just fills the hand just that little bit excellent more. Because I've got a similar sized knife than this is the Sage with the carbon fiber, and the carbon fiber is a little bit thicker, and even though it's the exact same size, it is one of the most ergonomic, most comfortable knives I've ever put in my hand. And when I put that Sage in there, it's like one of those things where like a bell rings. It's just, I love the knife right off the bat. And even I don't quite get that same kind of feeling with this, even though the shape is very, very similar. The size is very, very similar. I know the texture is a little bit different, but just, I would just wish this would be a little bit thicker overall. And that might lose a little bit as far as maybe add a little bit of weight to it. But I think I would be okay making that sacrifice because this is only 2.1 ounce. Maybe if this was, 2.9 ounces or 2.8 ounces, not going to be that much of a difference, but it is going to be a little bit more comfortable in the hand. Would I use this as an everyday carry? You know what? If I'm not going to be doing some of my old, heavy duty work, I think absolutely. This is also a great little knife to throw in your jeans pocket or your slacks pocket if you're going to be having to go to a wedding or something like that. You've got no problems with this. Not a overly large knife that when you pull it out, people are going to be all crazy about, oh, what'd you bring a knife to a wedding for? Well, because this kid had to cut a thread, and they would understand that. I think with this size of knife, this shape, I don't think you're going to get too much of the murdery vibe if you take it to work either. Now, there was one other thing. Can't think of it right off the top of my head, but if I do, I'll throw it in before I end. Would I give this a recommendation, a big connector recommendation? I think abso-freaking-lutely. For the price of it, you're looking at a little over, I think about $122 in Canada here, and you're looking at, I think, about $95 in the US. And I mean, for a sub $100, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, your other choice in that range is going to be something like the Delica. And with the choice of steel, I mean, if you had a Delica G10 with an S30V steel, I think I'm rocking the Delica all day long. But when you're starting to throw that CTS XHP steel in there, I think that's a little bit, for only $20 more. Then a VG10. This is the VG10 knife blade here, and I'm not a big fan of VG10. I like it in a cooking knife, just don't like it in a folding knife. And like I said, the CTS XHP is so close in price, and the functionality is so similar. For an extra $15-20, you may look at doing this Chaparral. Oh yes, the other thing that I did have an issue with this is when it's in my pocket. This is very, very smooth. This is very, very nice. So I'm not snagging on that. But when I'm going to reach in for things, this is such a, this seems like it's a little bit more rougher than some of the other FRN bidirectional textures. I haven't seen a lot of them. I should have brought maybe my my Dragonfly 2 up. Excuse me. Apologize for that, guys. I just noticed that it does kind of give me a little bit of a, if I'm going into my pocket all throughout the day, I do notice that my knuckle is a little bit red. It just seems to give me that little bit of a sandpaper vibe here when I'm in and out of the pocket all the time, and you can see, and that's what it seems to do. So, still an absolutely fantastic knife. Gonna give this an 8 out of 10. I don't think you can go wrong. For sub $100, you're gonna get yourself an actually excellent steel, a really well-designed knife, an absolutely incredible slicer, very, very ergonomic designed. But the only thing you're really missing out on is it's not a crazy fidget knife. I mean, it's hard to do the old kind of Spidey flick. Doesn't Spidey flick too well, and it's not super drop shutty either. So it's more of a kind of, it's sort of more of a put in the pocket, use as a knife. If you're like me and you like fidgeting with your knives all the time, with flippers and things like that, or even a balisong, hello, or an out the front. Not that I have one in Canada, but you're not going to get your itch scratched if you're a fidget guy. So still an absolutely fine offering, a knife that is definitely deserves to be in your collection, especially with the CTX HP. Really satisfied with that steel. It's absolutely fantastic. So, hey, thanks so much for stopping by, guys. I really appreciate it. One thing I got to say, though, too, as well, is Mr. Ziegler, you won our Scout 1 knife. You have got yourself till Sunday to send me an email with your address and stuff like that. If I don't hear from you, buddy, I'm going to actually probably do another video here, and we'll do a comment draw this time. So hopefully we can get this knife that was donated to us by such a wonderful fella, Patrick Anderson. Thank you so much for a incredible knife to give away, the Extrema Ratio Scout 1. So that is still to be happening. All right. Thanks so much for stopping by. Please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice. The shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.